Today we're tackling something that so many of us struggle with, self-doubt. As Christians, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by our own insecurities and wonder if we're truly capable of living out God's purpose for our lives. But here's the good news. We don't have to rely on our own strength. God's power is made perfect in our weakness. Let's start with one of my favorite Bible verses, Jeremiah 29:11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This verse reminds us that God has a specific plan for each of our lives, a good plan. And He sees our potential even when we don't. But here's the thing, self-doubt often creeps in when we start comparing ourselves to others or focusing on our limitations instead of God's promises. We think, I'm not smart enough, strong enough, or talented enough. Sound familiar? You are not alone. Even heroes of the Bible struggled with self-doubt. Take Moses, for example. When God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses' first response was doubt. In Exodus 4:10, he says, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent. I am slow of speech and tongue." But God's response is so powerful. He says in verse 12, "Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." Isn't that amazing? God didn't call Moses because of his qualifications. He called him because of his plan. And God promises to equip us for whatever He calls us to do. 2 Peter 1:3 says that God has given us everything we need for life and godliness. If you're wrestling with self-doubt today, here are 3 steps to help you overcome it and walk boldly in God's purpose. 1. Focus on God's truth. Replace the lies of doubt with God's promises. When you feel inadequate, remind yourself of Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. "His divine power has given us everything required for life and godliness, through the knowledge of Him who called us by His own glory and goodness." Write down these truths and keep them where you can see them daily. 2. Surrender your fears to God. Self-doubt often stems from fear, and fear has no place in our lives. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 tells us, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment." Pray and ask God to replace your fear with His peace and courage. Take the next step in faith. You don't have to see the whole path to take the first step. Just like Peter stepping out of the boat to walk on water, trust that God will sustain you as you move forward in obedience. Don't wait for perfection. God uses willing hearts, not perfect ones. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This verse is a beautiful reminder that we were not only created by God, but also for a purpose. And Psalm 139 verse 14 says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well." These verses remind us that we're uniquely designed by a Creator who has amazing plans for us. So my challenge for you this week is to take one small step toward what God is calling you to do. Maybe it's starting that ministry, applying for that job, or simply reaching out to someone in need. Whatever it is, trust that God is with you every step of the way. Thank you for watching. If this message encouraged you, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue growing together in faith. And let me know in the comments how I can pray for you this week.